The training hall of the Galactic Academy was silent and bright. Tall silver walls reached high into the ceiling, covered with glowing symbols from many worlds. Rows of alien cadets stood in perfect lines. Some had blue skin, some had scales, some had glowing eyes. They all wore the dark uniform of the Empire, and at the center of them stood one human. He looked calm, almost relaxed. His name was Elias Ward. He was the only human student ever allowed inside this academy. Many believed he did not belong there. The Galactic Empire had fought a long and painful war with humanity many years ago. The war ended without a clear victory. After that, humans were slowly accepted into the Empire, but trust was still weak. Most aliens believed humans were emotional, reckless, and physically inferior. Instructor Zarkin believed that more than anyone. Zarkin was tall, with red armor-like skin and sharp yellow eyes. He had trained soldiers for over 40 cycles. He had broken the will of the strongest warriors. And today, he planned to break the human. Without warning, Zarkin moved. His arm shot forward like lightning, aiming straight for Elias's face. Gasps filled the hall. No command had been given. No signal. This was not part of the lesson. It was an attack meant to embarrass. But before the strike could land, Elias moved. His hand rose smoothly and caught Zarkin's wrist midair. The sound of skin hitting skin echoed in the silent hall. The human did not look angry. He did not look afraid. He simply held the instructor's wrist firmly, but calmly. Zarkin tried to pull back, but the human's grip did not shake. It was steady, controlled, calm. The alien cadets stared in shock. No one had ever stopped Zarkin before. Elias looked directly into the instructor's glowing eyes and spoke in a quiet voice. "Has the class begun?" he asked softly. "Or are we still testing control?" His tone was respectful, not mocking. That made it worse. For a brief second, Zarkin felt something he had not felt in years. Uncertainty. The human slowly released his wrist and stepped back into position as if nothing had happened. Whispers spread across the hall like wind. Some cadets looked impressed. Others looked confused. Zarkin straightened his posture, hiding his surprise. His pride burned. He had wanted to show the class that humans were weak. Instead, he had been stopped in front of everyone. He cleared his throat and began the lesson as if nothing unusual had happened. "Combat readiness is not about speed," he said loudly. "It is about dominance." His eyes stayed on Elias the entire time. The next exercise was physical combat simulation. Cadets were paired in random order. Many avoided eye contact with the human. Finally, a large reptilian cadet stepped forward. His name was Viker, known for his brute strength. He cracked his knuckles and smiled confidently. The match began. Viker charged forward with heavy force. Elias stepped aside smoothly, letting the attack miss by inches. The human did not counterattack immediately. He watched. He measured distance. Viker swung again, faster this time. Elias blocked and redirected the force, causing Viker to stumble forward. The alien grew angry. His attacks became wild and uncontrolled. Elias remained calm. After several failed strikes, Elias gently swept Viker's legs and pinned him to the ground without hurting him. The match ended in seconds. No dramatic move. No anger. Just control. The hall became quiet again. Zarkin felt something strange in his chest. It was not just embarrassment. It was confusion. The human was not fighting like a beginner. His movements were trained, precise, military. Zarkin had seen this style before during the war. He ordered the next simulation immediately. This time it was a target response test. Floating drones appeared around the hall, firing low-level stun beams at random. Cadets struggled to keep up. Some were hit within seconds. Elias moved like he had seen the pattern before. He did not panic. He did not rush. He stepped into blind spots, using the drone's timing against them. In less than a minute, he stood untouched while others were still recovering from shocks. The Academy's central system recorded everything. Hidden above, the artificial intelligence quietly updated his file. Status changed from exchange student to unclassified potential threat. No announcement was made, but the system had noticed. Zarkin ended the session early. He dismissed the class with a sharp command. As cadets left the hall, many looked back at the human, some with respect, some with fear. Elias remained alone for a moment, adjusting his gloves calmly. He showed no pride in victory, no smile of success. That silence bothered Zarkin more than anything. The instructor approached him slowly. "You are well trained," Zarkin said in a low voice. Elias met his gaze evenly. "All humans are trained," he replied simply. There was no arrogance in his words. That made them heavier. Zarkin studied him closely now. During the wrist grab, he had felt something unusual. The human had not used full strength. Zarkin was sure of it. If he had, the bones might have cracked. That realization sent a quiet chill through the instructor's body. For the first time, he wondered if the Empire truly understood humanity at all. As Elias walked out of the hall, the lights reflected in his calm eyes. He had not come to the Academy to prove strength. He had come for another reason, a reason the Empire did not yet know. And somewhere deep inside the Academy's secure systems, a silent alert had already been sent to higher command. The message was simple. Human candidate Elias Ward. Evaluation incomplete. Further observation required. Zarkin remained standing in the empty hall long after the others had gone. His wrist still felt the memory of that steady grip. He replayed the moment again in his mind. The calm voice. The quiet question. Has the class begun? It had not been a challenge. It had been a warning. And for the first time in many years, Instructor Zarkin began to question who was truly teaching whom. The next cycle at the Galactic Academy began with quiet tension. News of what happened in the training hall had already spread through every corridor. Alien cadets whispered in low voices whenever the human walked past. Some were curious. Some were angry. Some were afraid. Elias Ward did not react to any of it. He walked through the long silver halls with the same calm expression, his hands behind his back, his steps steady and measured. The Academy was built to train the future commanders of the Empire. It was not a place for weakness. And yet, the only human there did not look weak at all. Inside the main strategy chamber, Instructor Zarkin watched from an upper platform. His yellow eyes followed Elias carefully. The human stood among cadets from 10 different species. Today's lesson was not physical combat. It was tactical simulation. Large holographic maps filled the air, showing star systems, fleet positions, and enemy movements. This was where real leaders were tested. Zarkin believed this was where the human would finally fail. Physical control was one thing. Galactic warfare was another. The simulation began. A border colony was under attack by unknown raiders. Cadets were divided into command groups. Elias was assigned to a team that clearly did not want him. The group leader, a tall blue-skinned cadet named Thuren, looked at him with cold eyes. "You follow orders," Thuren said sharply. Elias nodded once. Understood. No argument. No pride. The holographic battle started. Enemy ships appeared near the colony. Most cadets reacted quickly but emotionally. They ordered full assaults, spreading their forces wide. Thuren commanded aggressive strikes. Elias remained silent at first, watching the patterns. The enemy ships moved strangely. Too perfectly. Too predictable. After 2 minutes, Thuren's fleet began losing ships. The enemy had baited them into a trap. Reinforce the left flank. Thuren shouted. Panic was clear in his voice. Elias finally spoke, calm and low. "They want us to reinforce the left. That is not their real target." Thuren glared at him. "You think you know better?" Elias did not raise his voice. "Look at the timing. Their retreat speed is controlled. They are guiding us away from the colony." For a brief second, Thuren hesitated. Another explosion lit up the hologram. More ships lost. "Then what do you suggest?" Thuren demanded. "Pull back 20% of our center fleet. Let them believe we are collapsing. When they commit fully, close the gap from both sides." It was a risky plan. Very risky. But they were already losing. Thuren made the decision. Do it. The trap reversed within seconds. The enemy ships advanced too far. Elias gave exact timing for the flanking move. The surrounding maneuver closed perfectly. The raider fleet was trapped and neutralized. The simulation ended. Silence filled the chamber. Other teams had failed. Some colonies were destroyed. Some fleets were wiped out. But Elias's group had the highest survival rate. Zarkin's jaw tightened slightly. The human had not taken command loudly. He had waited, observed, then spoken only when necessary. As cadets left the chamber, whispers followed Elias again. This time, the tone was different. It was not mocking. It was uncertain respect. But not everyone was impressed. Later that cycle, 3 cadets cornered Elias in a lower corridor. The lights there were dimmer. The metal walls reflected cold shadows. Viker, the reptilian cadet he had defeated earlier, stood in front. 2 others blocked the exit behind him. "You embarrassed us," Viker growled. "You think staying calm makes you superior?" Elias looked at him quietly. "No." Viker stepped closer. "Then show anger. Show something." Elias remained still. Anger wastes energy. One of the other cadets shoved him lightly. It was not a full attack. It was a test. Elias did not move back. He did not tense his body either. His breathing stayed slow. "You hide behind control," Viker said. "What are you afraid of?" For the first time, Elias's eyes changed slightly. Not with anger, with something deeper. "I am not afraid," he said softly. "That is why I do not need to react." The words confused them more than any insult could have. Viker finally stepped back. "You are strange, human." "Yes," Elias replied calmly. "That has been said before." The cadets left him alone. From a hidden camera in the corridor, Academy surveillance recorded everything. The data was sent again to the central system. Behavioral analysis updated. Emotional control, extreme. Threat probability, rising. Meanwhile, inside a secured observation room, Zarkin reviewed the footage of both the combat hall and the strategy simulation. Something continued to bother him. During the wrist grab on the first day, he had felt strength. But today, in strategy, he felt something else. Experience. Zarkin zoomed in on Elias's combat file. Basic Human Academy records were visible, but several sections were blocked. Classified by Earth Defense Command. That level of clearance was not given to simple students. "Why are you here, human?" Zarkin muttered to himself. That same evening, another advanced simulation was announced. This one was individual performance under stress. Cadets would enter isolated combat pods where environmental danger would increase gradually. Heat, low oxygen, simulated injuries, psychological stress signals. Most cadets showed signs of panic within minutes. Elias entered his pod without hesitation. The test began. Heat levels rose. Oxygen dropped. Warning alarms flashed red. Recorded screams echoed to simulate battlefield chaos. Many cadets would shout or strike the walls. Elias simply closed his eyes briefly and slowed his breathing. His heart rate, displayed on monitoring screens, remained stable. When hostile holographic enemies appeared, he moved with perfect timing. No wasted movement, no visible fear. 10 minutes passed. 15. 20. His stress indicators barely changed. Observers in the control room exchanged looks. This was beyond Academy training standards. Finally, the system automatically ended the test. Maximum threshold reached. When Elias stepped out of the pod, there was no sign of exhaustion. He adjusted his uniform calmly. Zarkin stood waiting outside. "You have done this before," the instructor said quietly. Elias met his gaze. "Yes." "In war?" "Yes." The simple answer carried weight. Zarkin folded his arms behind his back. "Humans were not reported to have officers of your level within Academy age range." Elias paused slightly. "Reports are often incomplete." That answer was not disrespectful, but it was careful. Zarkin realized something important in that moment. The human was not trying to dominate the Academy. He was observing it, measuring it. As Elias walked away again, Zarkin felt the same quiet unease from the first day. The Empire believed humans were still recovering from the last war. Weak, divided, learning. But this human did not look like someone learning. He looked like someone evaluating. And deep within the Academy Central System, another silent update was made. Human candidate Elias Ward. Status changed. Observation priority, high. Unknown variable detected. For the first time, Instructor Zarkin began to wonder if the human student was not there to be trained at all. Perhaps he was there to decide something far more important. The atmosphere inside the Galactic Academy changed after the stress simulation. Cadets no longer laughed openly when the human passed. They no longer tried to provoke him without thinking. But fear and pride are dangerous things when mixed together. Instructor Zarkin felt both. He had trained warriors for decades. He understood strength. And he understood when something did not fit normal patterns. Elias Ward did not fit. His calm behavior was not natural for a young cadet. It was the calm of someone who had already survived worse. Zarkin needed proof. Not suspicion. Proof. 2 cycles later, a special combat exercise was announced. It would take place inside the primary training dome. The dome was massive, built for live environment simulations. Terrain could shift from desert to jungle in seconds. Real creatures from controlled planets were sometimes used for advanced testing. Only top-level cadets were usually allowed inside. But today, the entire class was ordered to attend. Whispers spread quickly. Something unusual was about to happen. Elias entered the dome with the others. The artificial sky above glowed orange, simulating a dying sun. The ground was rocky and uneven. Instructor Zarkin stood on the observation platform above, his arms folded behind his back. His voice echoed through the dome speakers. Today's lesson is about unpredictability. The battlefield does not warn you before danger arrives. His eyes briefly locked onto Elias. Remember that. Without further explanation, the dome floor trembled slightly. A large containment gate at the far end slowly opened. A low growl rolled across the arena. Several cadets stiffened. From the shadows emerged a massive creature. It had thick armored skin, for powerful legs, and glowing red eyes. Its claws scraped against the metal floor as it stepped forward. This was not a simple simulation hologram. This was real. Murmurs of alarm spread through the cadets. The creature was a Dravic predator, imported from a hostile world beyond the Empire's outer rim. These beasts were known for their speed and aggression. They were rarely used in academy training because of the danger. The objective is survival, Zarkin announced calmly. Work together. But there was something wrong. The creature's behavior seemed more aggressive than expected. Its restraint collar blinked once, then went dark. The Dravic roared and charged. Chaos exploded across the arena. Cadets scattered. Energy blasts fired wildly but missed. The creature moved faster than predicted. One cadet was knocked aside, his armor cracking from the impact. Another barely avoided the snapping jaws. From the observation platform, Zarkin remained still. This was the test. He wanted to see the human under real pressure. No planned moves. No predictable patterns. Elias did not run blindly. He stepped backward, analyzing the creature's movements. The Dravic targeted the largest group first, drawn by panic. That gave him information. Its right side movement was slightly slower. Old injury, maybe. Spread out. Elias shouted clearly. His voice cut through the chaos, without fear. Do not cluster. Some cadets hesitated, but Duran recognized the command tone from the strategy chamber. Listen to him. Duran ordered. The group separated. The creature lost its focus briefly. Elias moved closer instead of farther. He picked up a fallen training spear from the ground. It was not designed for heavy combat, but it would do. The Dravic turned and charged directly at him. Gasps echoed from above. At the last second, Elias rolled to the side, striking the creature's injured leg joint with precise force. The beast roared in pain but did not fall. It swung its massive tail, smashing against a rock formation and sending debris flying. Elias did not attack wildly. He observed, waited, measured breathing patterns. The creature lunged again. This time, Elias threw the spear not at its body, but at a control node behind its neck where the restraint collar had failed. The spear struck perfectly, sending a surge of feedback through the damaged device. The Dravic staggered. Now, Elias called. Several cadets fired controlled stun bursts at the weakened leg joint. The creature collapsed onto one side, still growling but unable to stand fully. Elias approached slowly, carefully avoiding the claws. With one final calculated strike to the nerve cluster near its neck, the beast went still. Not dead, just unconscious. Silence filled the dome. Breathing echoed heavily through helmets. No one had died. Above, Zarkin stared down at the human. That was not Academy-level reaction. That was battlefield command under live threat. Medical drones rushed in to secure the creature and assist injured cadets. The dome slowly returned to normal lighting. One of the Academy technicians approached Zarkin nervously. "Instructor, the restraint collar malfunction was not scheduled." Zarkin did not answer immediately. His eyes remained fixed on Elias. Below, cadets surrounded the human. Some looked at him with open respect now. Viker, still recovering from earlier embarrassment, spoke quietly. "You could have escaped alone." Elias shook his head once. That would not solve the problem. The Wren stepped closer. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" Elias paused briefly. "From enemies who were worse." That answer left more questions than it solved. Later that cycle, inside the private command office, Zarkin reviewed the incident reports. The malfunction was real, not staged. The Dravik had truly broken free. And yet, the human had reacted as if he had expected something like this to happen. A secure communication alert blinked on Zarkin's console. The Academy AI had flagged the human's combat performance again. Comparison analysis showed similarities between Elias's tactics and classified human military maneuvers recorded during the final years of the Human Empire War. Zarkin leaned back slowly. "This is no student," he muttered. Meanwhile, alone in his quarters, Elias removed his gloves carefully. A small device embedded in his wrist flickered softly. A coded message appeared for a brief second before disappearing. Phase 1 evaluation progressing. Empire combat readiness, inconsistent. Continue observation. Elias closed his eyes briefly. He had not wanted the creature to break containment, but unpredictability revealed truth faster. Across the Academy, rumors now moved faster than ever. The human was not weak. The human was not emotional. The human was something else entirely. Instructor Zarkin stood by the large window overlooking the stars. His wrist still remembered the first day. His mind replayed today's battle. The calm question, the steady grip, the precise strike. And now, a dangerous thought entered his mind. If this human was only observing, then what decision would he make when his evaluation was complete? For the first time in many years, Zarkin felt that the Galactic Academy was not testing the human. The human was testing the Empire. After the incident in the training dome, the Galactic Academy did not feel the same. The corridors were still clean and bright. The cadets still followed their schedules. But something invisible had changed. Conversation stopped when Elias Ward entered a room. Eyes followed him, not with mockery now, but with careful thought. Respect was growing, but so was suspicion. Instructor Zarkin felt it more than anyone. The official report about the Dravik malfunction was sent to the Academy Council. It stated that a technical error had caused the restraint collar to fail. It praised Elias for preventing casualties. On paper, everything looked controlled, but Zarkin did not believe in simple accidents. The timing was too perfect. The human had reacted too efficiently. It was as if he had been waiting for something unexpected to happen. 2 cycles later, Elias was summoned to the upper council chamber. This room was rarely used for students. It was circular, with tall transparent walls showing the endless stars outside. 3 senior council members waited inside. Each one represented a powerful species within the Empire. Their faces showed calm authority, but their eyes were sharp. Elias entered quietly and stood in the center of the chamber. He did not look nervous. He stood straight, hands behind his back. One of the council members, an elder with silver skin and glowing blue markings, spoke first. "Cadet Elias Ward, your recent performances have raised questions." Elias nodded slightly. "That is understandable." Another council member leaned forward. "Your tactical knowledge exceeds Academy expectations. Your combat skill reflects advanced military training. Yet your file lists you as a simple exchange cadet." "My file lists what was permitted," Elias replied calmly. A brief silence followed. "You were present during the final phase of the Human Empire War," the Silver Elder said. It was not a question. "Yes. At what rank?" Elias paused for only a moment. "Field Commander." The air in the chamber seemed to grow heavier. "That rank is not given lightly," the Elder continued. "Why would a commander attend an academy as a student?" Elias's eyes remained steady. "Because observation is more valuable than assumption." The third council member spoke now, voice deep and low. Observation of what? Stability. Elias answered simply. The word lingered in the chamber. Explain, the elder demanded. Elias did not rush his answer. The Empire requested human integration, partnership, shared command structures. Before Earth agrees fully, we must understand your internal strength, your unity, your readiness. The council members exchanged silent glances. You are evaluating us, the second member said slowly. Yes. The honesty was almost shocking. The elder's voice became colder. You admit this openly? There's no benefit in hiding it now, Elias replied. You have already noticed. Silence returned. Outside the transparent walls, distant stars shimmered quietly. You speak as if humanity holds equal power, the elder said. Elias did not smile. We do. The statement was not aggressive. It was calm. That made it more powerful. Before the council could respond further, a sharp alert tone interrupted the chamber. A red symbol flashed on the wall display. One of the council members activated the main screen. A border sector near the outer rim was sending distress signals. An unidentified fleet had appeared without warning. Defense outposts were failing. Unknown signatures, the system reported. Technology not matching any registered species within the Empire. The elder turned back toward Elias slowly. Is this part of your evaluation? Elias shook his head once. No. His voice carried something new now. Serious focus. Zarkin entered the chamber moments later, summoned by the emergency alert. He stood beside the council members, watching the tactical display. Multiple enemy ships were advancing in organized formations. They moved with terrifying coordination. Our outer patrols are retreating, Zarkin reported. They are not responding to standard hails. The council chamber felt colder. Elias stepped closer to the display. He studied the enemy movement patterns silently. His eyes narrowed slightly. You recognize something, Zarkin said. Yes. All eyes turned to him. They are probing, Elias explained. Testing reaction speed. Targeting communication hubs first. They are not trying to conquer immediately. They are measuring your defense. The elder's expression darkened. You speak with certainty. Because humans have seen this strategy before. The room fell silent again. Who are they? Zarkin asked quietly. Elias hesitated for the first time. We called them the Carthane during first contact beyond our outer colonies. They do not negotiate. They calculate. The council members absorbed the information slowly. You fought them? The second member asked. Yes. And survived? Yes. The simple answers felt heavy. Another explosion marker appeared on the tactical map. A defense station went dark. We cannot confirm this species from our records, the elder said. They stay hidden until they are ready, Elias replied. This is only the first wave. The council chamber's calm authority was now replaced by urgency. If what you say is true, Zarkin said carefully, then our academy sector may become a target. Elias nodded. High probability. The elder looked directly at the human. Why tell us this now? Because if the Empire falls, Elias said quietly, humanity stands alone. The truth in his words carried no pride, only realism. Outside the chamber, Academy cadets were already being redirected to emergency stations. Defense protocols activated. The peaceful training environment was shifting toward real war readiness. Zarkin studied Elias differently now. Not as a student, not even as a rival, but as someone who had already faced the darkness approaching their borders. You were not sent here to judge us, Zarkin said slowly. You were sent to prepare us. Elias did not confirm or deny it directly. Preparation requires understanding. The council members moved into rapid discussion, issuing fleet commands and alerting nearby sectors. The unknown fleet continued advancing slowly but deliberately. As alarms echoed through the academy, Elias stood quietly beside the tactical display. His calm expression had not changed, but inside his mind, calculations were already forming. Phase 1 was never meant to end this quickly. The Carthane had arrived earlier than expected, and now the evaluation of the Empire would move from theory to reality. Instructor Zarkin looked at the human one more time. For the first time, he did not see a student. He saw an ally, and possibly the only one in the room who truly understood what was coming. The Galactic Academy was no longer a place of simple training. Emergency lights glowed along the silver walls. Cadets moved quickly through corridors, no longer whispering but preparing. Outside the transparent shields of the station, distant stars were partly hidden by the shapes of moving fleets. The unknown enemy ships, identified by Elias as the Carthane, continued their slow and careful advance. They did not rush. They did not panic. They moved like hunters studying prey. Inside the main command chamber, tension filled the air. Senior officers from nearby sectors appeared as holograms around the circular table. Instructor Zarkin stood beside the council members, his posture straight, but his thoughts unsettled. And across from him stood Elias Ward, no longer simply a cadet in anyone's mind. "We have reinforced the outer defense ring," one fleet commander reported. "But their ships are avoiding direct engagement. They are striking supply lines. They are testing coordination," Elias said calmly. "They want to see how quickly your fleets respond to multiple threats." Several commanders looked at him with visible irritation. One of them, a tall armored officer from the Virex species, crossed his arms. "And we are taking advice from a student now." Elias did not react to the insult. Zarkin did. "He is not a normal student," Zarkin said firmly. "His battlefield experience exceeds most officers here." The chamber grew quiet. The elder council member turned to Elias. "If they are probing, what is their next move?" Elias stepped closer to the holographic map. He highlighted 3 locations near the Academy sector. "They will strike here. Communication relays, not to destroy them completely, just enough to delay coordinated response." "Why not attack the Academy directly?" the Virex officer challenged. "Because uncertainty creates fear," Elias replied. "Fear spreads faster than destruction." As if answering his words, a red alert flashed across the map. One of the predicted relay stations went dark. Murmurs spread across the chamber. "They are exactly where he said," another officer whispered. Zarkin felt something shift inside him. The human was not guessing. He was reading patterns with terrifying accuracy. "We must counterattack," the Virex officer insisted. "Full fleet engagement." "That is what they want," Elias said quietly. "If you commit your main fleet now, they will withdraw and strike another weak point. You will waste energy chasing shadows." The elder council member studied him carefully. "Then what do you suggest?" Elias paused only briefly. "Controlled defense. Let them believe their probing is successful. Meanwhile, prepare a hidden strike group. When they commit deeper, you cut their exit path." "You speak as if you have done this before," Zarkin said. "We have," Elias answered. Silence returned. The decision was difficult. Pride pushed some commanders toward direct battle, but logic supported Elias' strategy. After tense discussion, the council approved a modified version of his plan. A hidden fleet would position itself near the Academy sector, masked by asteroid fields. Hours passed. Minor skirmishes continued. The Carthane ships moved closer, exactly as Elias predicted. Their formations began tightening. They were preparing for a larger strike. Inside the Academy, cadets were now stationed at defense posts. Training had turned into real readiness. Viker stood beside Duran at one of the shield control panels. "If they attack here," Viker muttered, "we fight." Duran glanced toward the command level above. "If they attack here, we survive because of him." In the command chamber, Zarkin stood beside Elias near the main viewing window. Through the shield, small flashes of distant combat could be seen. "You knew this threat would come eventually," Zarkin said quietly. "Yes, and yet you remain calm." "Panic wastes time." Zarkin studied him. "You are not afraid of them." Elias's gaze stayed on the stars. "We learn not to be." Suddenly, a sharp alert filled the chamber. Multiple Carthane ships accelerated at once. Their formations shifted aggressively. They were no longer probing. "They are committing," an officer shouted. "Hidden fleet in position?" the elder demanded. "Ready and waiting." Elias spoke calmly. "Wait 5 more seconds." 5 seconds, the Virex officer protested. "They are about to breach the outer shield." 5 seconds, Elias repeated. The chamber held its breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, the hidden fleet surged from the asteroid field, cutting off the Carthane retreat path. Energy beams lit up the darkness. The enemy ships hesitated for a fraction of a second, just enough. Target their central command vessels, Elias instructed. Do not scatter your fire. The Empire fleet adjusted formation quickly. Focused strikes hit the larger Carthane ships at the center of their formation. Without central coordination, smaller ships began moving less efficiently. They are destabilizing, a commander reported. The battle intensified. Explosions flashed across the void. But this time, the Empire was not reacting blindly. They were controlling the flow. Minutes later, the Carthane ships began retreating in organized groups. But the exit path was partially blocked. Several enemy vessels were disabled. They are withdrawing, the Elder announced. Cheers began to rise in the chamber, but Elias did not celebrate. They will return, he said quietly. The room fell silent again. Not immediately, he continued. But now they know your response time. They will adjust. Zarkin looked at him carefully. And what did you learn today, human? Elias finally turned from a window. The Empire can adapt. That increases survival probability. It was not praise. It was evaluation. After the battle, damage reports were reviewed. Losses were limited compared to early projections. The hidden fleet strategy had prevented a deeper invasion. The Elder Council member approached Elias directly. Your guidance prevented significant destruction. Humanity's role in this alliance will be reconsidered. Elias nodded slightly. Humanity prefers partnership built on strength. Later, as the command chamber emptied, Zarkin remained behind with Elias. You could have taken control completely, Zarkin said, but you allowed us to make the final decisions. Yes. Why? Because it must be your empire that stands, Elias replied. Not ours. Zarkin felt something new then. Not uncertainty. Not suspicion. Respect. The Carthane threat had not ended. It had only begun. But today proved something important. The Galactic Empire was not weak, and the human was not here to conquer it. He was here to ensure it was worthy of standing beside humanity when the true storm arrived. Outside, among the distant stars, damaged Carthane ships disappeared into darkness. And somewhere beyond sensor range, something larger was watching, calculating, preparing for the next move. The battle near the Academy sector ended, but no one believed it was over. Repairs began immediately. Damaged ships were towed back into position. Communication relays were restored. Cadets returned to structured duties. But now every training exercise felt more serious. The Galactic Academy had faced a real enemy, not a simulation. And they had survived because of strategy that did not come from within the Empire alone. In the High Command Chamber, the Council continued reviewing combat data. Large holographic displays showed detailed analysis of the Carthane fleet movements. Their attack had been precise, almost mathematical. They had tested response times, communication speed, and fleet coordination. It was clear now. This was not random aggression. It was preparation. Elias stood near the main console, studying the retreat patterns. Instructor Zarkin stood beside him. The relationship between them had changed. There was no longer silent rivalry. There was focus. They retreated earlier than expected, Zarkin observed. Yes, Elias replied, because they confirmed what they needed. And what is that? That the Empire can respond quickly, but only within centralized command zones. Zarkin frowned slightly. Explain. Elias adjusted the display. Several outer sectors appeared highlighted. Your inner systems are strong, but outer colonies rely heavily on delayed support. The Carthane will target those first in the next wave. One of the council members approached. You speak as if you are certain there will be another wave. There will be, Elias said calmly. They do not invest resources without long-term intent. The elder council member studied him carefully. Humanity has faced them longer than we have. Yes, and you survived. For now. The honesty in his voice carried weight. Later that cycle, a private meeting was arranged between Elias and the council. Zarkin was invited to attend. The chamber lights were dimmer this time, more serious. A direct question hung in the air. The elder began. Humanity has information about the Carthane that we do not. Yes. Why was this not shared earlier? Elias did not look defensive. Because alliances built on fear are unstable. We needed to know if the Empire could adapt without external control. The second council member's eyes narrowed. So this entire academy placement was a test. Yes. Zarkin spoke quietly. You evaluated our military culture. Yes. And, the elder pressed. Elias paused. Your forces are disciplined. Your officers are intelligent. But internal pride creates hesitation in unified command. The chamber grew silent. That hesitation could cost entire systems. Elias continued. The Carthane exploit division. The council members exchanged uneasy looks. It was difficult to deny. You speak boldly for someone within our borders, one member said. Elias met his gaze evenly. Because if you fall, humanity stands alone against them. The truth in those words shifted the tone of the room. The elder leaned forward slightly. Then tell us clearly. What is humanity's position? Elias took a slow breath. Earth Command authorized limited integration. If the Empire proves capable of coordinated resistance, full alliance will be approved. That includes shared technology and joint fleet command. Zarkin's eyes widened slightly. Shared technology between two galactic powers was not a small offer. And if we fail? The second council member asked. Then humanity fortifies its own borders and prepares independently. The words were not a threat. They were simple reality. Before the council could respond further, another alert interrupted the chamber. Long-range sensors detected faint signals, far beyond the previous battle zone. Multiple energy signatures, the system reported. Magnitude larger than prior fleet. The air seemed to freeze. They are not retreating, Zarkin said quietly. No, Elias replied. They are regrouping. The display zoomed outward. The number of incoming Carthane vessels was nearly triple the first wave. This is no longer probing, the elder whispered. Elias nodded. This is pressure. Across the academy, emergency signals activated again. This time the tone was different, deeper, more urgent. Cadets rushed to defensive stations without hesitation. There was no more doubt about the threat. Viker tightened his armor straps. Thurin checked shield calibrations. The earlier rivalry between species had faded. Survival had a way of creating unity. In the command chamber, tension thickened. Our fleets are still recovering, one officer reported. We cannot withstand a direct assault of this scale. Zarkin turned to Elias. What would humanity do? Elias did not answer immediately. He studied the incoming formation carefully. Humanity would not meet them at full strength. What does that mean? The elder demanded. It means we change the battlefield. He stepped forward and adjusted the holographic projection. Nearby asteroid belts, unstable nebula pockets, and gravitational distortions appeared highlighted. The Carthane rely on precise formation algorithms, Elias explained. If their sensors are disrupted, their coordination weakens. You propose drawing them into unstable terrain? Zarkin asked. Yes. It would risk our outer stations. One commander protested. It would save your core systems, Elias replied. Silence filled the chamber again. Finally, the elder spoke. If we follow this plan and fail, we lose everything. Elias met his gaze calmly. If you do nothing different, you lose everything anyway. The honesty cut through hesitation. Orders were given. Outer fleet units repositioned, broadcasting controlled retreat signals. The goal was clear. Lure the Carthane toward a dense asteroid field near the Academy sector. As ships moved into position, Zarkin stood beside Elias once more. You are no longer observing, Zarkin said quietly. No, Elias agreed. You are fighting. Yes, Zarkin nodded slowly. Then today you fight as one of us. Elias looked at him. For the first time, there was something close to approval in his eyes. Today, Elias said softly, we fight as equals. Outside, the second Carthane wave advanced steadily, unaware that the battlefield itself was about to shift. Deep within the Academy systems, Defense algorithms updated under Joint Human and Imperial Command for the first time. The evaluation phase was over. Now survival would determine the future of both civilizations. And beyond the approaching enemy fleet, hidden in distant darkness, larger energy signatures waited silently, watching, calculating, preparing for something even greater than invasion. The second Carthane wave moved like a dark storm across the stars. Their ships were larger this time, heavier, and arranged in tighter formations. Red energy lines flashed between vessels as they shared data instantly. They were not just attacking. They were adjusting, learning. The Galactic Empire fleet pulled back exactly as planned, broadcasting signs of weakness. Outer defense stations sent controlled distress signals. To any outside observer, it looked like fear. Inside the Academy command chamber, tension was sharp and silent. The holographic display showed the Carthane fleet entering the designated asteroid field. Massive rocks floated in slow motion, some as large as cities. Gravitational distortions bent light around them, creating unstable sensor readings. "They are following," one officer reported. Elias stood near the center console, his eyes focused. "Maintain retreat pattern. Do not engage yet." Several commanders looked uneasy. Letting the enemy advance felt wrong. But the plan required patience. Instructor Zarkin stood beside Elias. "How deep must they enter?" "Far enough that retreat becomes complicated," Elias answered calmly. Outside, the Empire's hidden strike units positioned themselves behind the asteroid clusters. Engines powered down to minimum output to avoid detection. Weapons were charged silently. The Carthane fleet advanced carefully at first. Their sensors scanned the unstable field. For a moment they slowed. Then their formation tightened again. They believed their calculations were superior. "They think we are desperate," Zarkin muttered. "Good," Elias replied. Suddenly, one of the Carthane command ships fired a concentrated beam, destroying a retreating Empire cruiser. The explosion lit up the asteroid field. "They are increasing aggression," an officer warned. "They want us to panic," Elias said. "Hold position." The chamber felt smaller with every passing second. Then the Carthane fleet crossed the invisible line Elias had been waiting for. "Now," he said. The hidden Empire fleet surged forward from behind the asteroids. At the same time, prepositioned drones activated gravitational disruptors. The asteroid field shifted violently. Smaller rocks collided with Carthane ships. Sensor interference spiked. "Their formation is destabilizing," an officer shouted. Energy beams lit the darkness. This was no longer probing. This was full battle. The Empire fleet targeted the outer edges of the Carthane formation, isolating ships from their command cores. Explosions flashed across space. But the Carthane did not collapse easily. Their central vessels adapted quickly, redirecting power and reorganizing units despite interference. "They are compensating," Zarkin warned. "Yes," Elias replied. "They expected resistance." A massive Carthane dreadnought moved forward through the chaos, pushing aside asteroids with shield bursts. It fired a heavy beam that sliced through two Empire destroyers instantly. Gasps filled the chamber. "That ship is coordinating their counterattack," Elias said. "Disable it." "It is heavily shielded," a commander replied. "Direct assault will cost us half our fleet." Elias's mind moved quickly. "Then we do not attack it directly." He adjusted the display, highlighting a dense cluster of unstable asteroids behind the dreadnought. "Concentrate fire on those rocks. Break them apart." The order seemed strange, but it was followed. Multiple Empire ships redirected fire. Asteroids shattered, sending thousands of fragments toward the dreadnought's rear. Its shields blocked the first wave, but the constant impacts forced it to divert power. "Shields fluctuating," an officer reported. "Now target its engine core," Elias commanded. A focused barrage struck the exposed rear section. The dreadnought's engines flickered. One final concentrated blast from a heavy cruiser pierced the weakened shield. The massive Carthane vessel exploded in a blinding flash. For a brief moment, the Carthane formation faltered. Their coordination weakened. "Press advantage," Zarkin ordered. Empire ships advanced aggressively now, cutting through separated enemy vessels. The asteroid field became a storm of fire and debris. But the victory was not clean. A secondary Carthane squadron emerged from behind a distortion field, hidden reinforcements. They targeted the Academy sector directly. They bypassed the trap, a commander shouted. On the main display, several Carthane cruisers accelerated toward the Academy's position. Zarkin's jaw tightened. If they reach the Academy shields, they will overload under sustained fire. An officer finished. Elias did not hesitate. Redirect reserve fleet immediately. I will coordinate defense. You? The Virex officer questioned. Zarkin stepped forward firmly. He has command. There was no more doubt in his voice. Elias quickly assessed the incoming formation. They are sacrificing the squadron to cause maximum damage. Focus on precision, not spread fire. Target weapon nodes first. The Academy's defensive platforms activated. Massive cannons extended from hidden compartments along the station surface. The Carthane cruisers opened fire. Shield impacts shook the Academy. Cadets inside felt the vibration beneath their feet. Viker gripped his station tightly. Hold, he muttered. The Ren monitored shield integrity. 70%. Outside, Empire Reserve ships arrived just in time, intercepting the Carthane squadron. Coordinated strikes, guided by Elias's rapid calculations, dismantled the attackers piece by piece. One cruiser managed to fire a final heavy shot before exploding. The blast struck the Academy's outer shield, causing a brief power surge. Shield integrity at 40%, the Ren reported. Stabilizing, came the response. Minutes later, the final Carthane cruiser went dark. Silence slowly returned to space. Debris drifted between shattered asteroids. Damaged ships floated, awaiting recovery. In the command chamber, no one spoke at first. They stared at the display, confirming what their eyes already saw. The Carthane second wave had been stopped. Not destroyed completely, but stopped. The Elder Council member exhaled slowly. Status: enemy fleet retreating beyond sensor range. An officer reported. Zarkin turned to Elias. You predicted their adaptation. Yes, and yet we survived. For now, Elias replied quietly. There was no celebration in his voice. The cost of the battle was displayed across the screen. Empire losses were significant, but far less than projections, without the trap. The Elder approached Elias once more. Your strategies saved this sector. They bought time. Elias corrected gently. For what? The Elder asked. Elias looked at the distant stars beyond the shattered battlefield. For the main force. The room fell silent again. You believe this was not their full strength, Zarkin said. Elias nodded once. This was escalation, not conclusion. Far beyond visible space, faint energy readings began appearing on deep-range sensors. Larger than before. Slower. Heavier. The Carthane were not finished. But neither was the Empire. And now, for the first time, human and Imperial fleets had fought as one. The evaluation was complete. The real war was about to begin. The Galactic Academy had survived the second Carthane wave, but the air inside the station felt heavy with tension. Cadets moved quickly through corridors, double-checking equipment and monitoring shields. Outside, the remnants of the asteroid field still drifted slowly across the void, and the Empire's fleet remained on high alert. For the first time, humans and aliens worked together seamlessly, each trusting the other's calculations, commands, and instincts. Yet, even with victory, there was no celebration. The threat was far from over. Inside the command chamber, Elias Ward stood near the main tactical display. His eyes scanned the stars beyond the Academy sector, tracking the retreating enemy vessels. Instructor Zarkin stood beside him. The Instructor's expression had changed over the past cycles. Respect, once mixed with suspicion, now carried weight. He no longer saw Elias as a student to test or provoke. He saw a strategist, a leader, and a warrior, one who had already survived what few others could imagine. The Carthane retreat is temporary, Elias said quietly. They will return. This is only an escalation phase. They are calculating every move before committing fully. Zarkin nodded slowly. And yet, they underestimated us. Yes, Elias replied, his voice calm but firm. They assumed division, fear, lack of coordination. We proved them wrong. But next time, they will adapt faster. The elder council member stepped forward, his silver markings glowing faintly in the dim light. Humanity has intervened at the perfect moment. Without your guidance, Elias, the Academy could have been destroyed. Elias tilted his head slightly. I did not intervene to save the Academy. I intervened to observe how well the Empire could respond. Survival requires adaptation, not heroics. Zarkin's jaw tightened. He had expected a modest answer, but not this blunt evaluation. And what of your fleet? He asked. Human forces could have engaged directly. Why hold back? Elias's gaze was steady. Because direct engagement without coordination is reckless. Survival is measured in calculated risk. Timing is everything. The elder council member remained silent, weighing the truth in those words. Across the room, officers were still reviewing battle reports, comparing actual outcomes to predicted outcomes. Elias's predictions had been nearly perfect. Every Carthane maneuver had been anticipated. Every weakness exploited without unnecessary loss. The Empire's fleet had survived because of his guidance. Outside, the Academy sensors picked up faint movement in deep space. Larger energy signatures were forming beyond the last known position of the Carthane retreat. They were slow, almost deliberate. Elias studied the readings carefully. They are regrouping for a larger offensive. They may wait until resources are replenished, but they will return, with more ships, more coordination, and they will test the outer sectors first. Zarkin turned to him. And the Academy? Fortifications will hold, Elias replied. But cadets must be prepared for real battle exercises from now on. No simulation will match what they face outside these walls. The council members absorbed the statement quietly. For the first time, they realized the magnitude of what had been at stake. The second wave had been a warning, not a full assault. And Elias had guided the Empire's response without hesitation, without emotion, and without fear. Viker and Theron, two cadets who had witnessed every engagement closely, approached Elias. You saved the sector, Viker said, his tone uncharacteristically respectful. Elias shook his head. I did not save it. We survived it. The difference is important. Survival is the first step toward victory. Theron glanced at the tactical display. And what comes next? The Empire prepares, Elias said simply. We learn. We adapt. And when the enemy returns, we are ready. Later, in a quiet room of the Academy, Zarkin stood alone, reviewing footage from the past battles. Each frame, each decision by Elias, replayed in his mind. The calm question from the first day echoed again. Has the class begun? At the time, it had seemed like a simple challenge. Now, Zarkin realized it had been a warning that strength alone did not define survival. Strategy, patience, and observation mattered even more. In the observation tower above the Academy, Elias received a brief coded message on a small device embedded in his wrist. A single line of text appeared and disappeared almost instantly. Phase 3 confirmed. Main evaluation complete. Prepare for Alliance integration. He did not react outwardly. There was no triumph in his eyes, just calm calculation. The human had never sought recognition. He had never sought to dominate. Every action had been measured, precise, and purposeful. Back in the main hall, cadets gathered for the next training cycle. There was no fear in their movements. Confidence was visible. Cooperation had grown beyond species boundaries. Where rivalry once existed, respect had taken root. And all of it was because of one human who had remained calm, patient, and observant through every test, every battle, and every unexpected challenge. Instructor Zarkin finally addressed the cadets, his voice carrying authority and, for the first time, genuine respect. Today, you have learned that strength without strategy is meaningless. Observation without action is wasted potential, and courage is not measured by aggression, but by calmness in the face of danger. Elias stood at the edge of the hall, listening silently. He said nothing. He did not need to. His presence alone had already taught the lesson. As night fell over the Academy, the stars beyond shimmered with distant light. Far away, the Carthane fleet regrouped in the darkness, unaware that the Empire's forces were no longer divided, no longer hesitant, and no longer unprepared. Elias turned to Zarkin. "The evaluation is over," he said softly. Zarkin nodded. "Yes, but the real challenge is only beginning." Elias's calm eyes scanned the academy and beyond, toward the stars where the enemy waited. "Let them come," he said quietly. "Humans do not strike first, but we always finish what others start." The final words echoed through the hall, carrying a weight that none could ignore. The cadets, the officers, and even Zarkin understood. Humanity had arrived not to join the Empire as a student, not as a subordinate, but as an equal. And from this day forward, the Galactic Academy would never be the same. Outside, the stars glimmered. Somewhere, beyond the distant reaches of space, the Carthane watched. They did not yet know that the calm question, the steady grip, and the measured strategies of one human had changed the course of history. And in the quiet of the observation tower, Elias looked out at the infinite stars. For the first time in cycles, a faint smile touched his lips. The class had begun. The Empire was ready, and humanity was here,